What's up everyone? Today we have a fantastic discussion for you, and I would love if you joined in as well, letting us know your thoughts by subscribing and commenting below. So, over the years we've seen several third parties work on Zelda games. Capcom developed the Minish Cap and the Four Swords series. Grezzo is responsible for all of the recent remakes on the 3DS like Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, as well as helping out on A Link Between Worlds, and we've seen Koei Tecmo produce Hyrule Warriors, which is more of a Dynasty Warriors game than a Zelda game. So my question for you guys and the people listening at home, which third-party developers, whether it be owned by Sony or Microsoft, would you like to see collaborate with Nintendo to make a Zelda game? For instance, I would love to see Square Enix, specifically the teams behind Final Fantasy and Tomb Raider, to collaborate with Nintendo. We would get all of the great RPG and story mechanics from the Final Fantasy series with that amazing art style they always are able to achieve, and with the new Tomb Raider series, it almost plays like a mature Zelda game with all the puzzle-solving mechanics they have in the overworld. So, if they team up with Nintendo to produce their own open-world Zelda game with either a realistic art style like Tomb Raider, or the realistic/anime art style like in Final Fantasy, but as a traditional Zelda game, I would be in love. So, which developers would you guys like to see working on a new Zelda game?
Okay, so if I could have any third-party studio make a Zelda game, I mean, there's a lot of obvious choices there, right? You got Capcom, they made some in the past. You've got, Grezzo, and they do, some of the remakes on 3DS and all that. Here's the thing, right? Every 3D Zelda game, essentially, boiled down to its bare essentials, is just Ocarina of Time, right? I mean, the way they work mechanically, the way they kind of flow, everything is basically Ocarina of Time. Every spin-off game that's ever sort of been made, even the recent ones, is just A Link to the Past, boiled down, right? Four Swords Adventure plays a lot like Link to the Past. Of course, A Link Between Worlds is A Link to the Past. And that's how it's always been. Now, nothing wrong with that, those are great games. But with Breath of the Wild, right, we're seeing like change of conventions. We're seeing, they're taking sort of the old stuff, they're reworking it, they're taking some of the main staples and they're getting rid of it, they're adding climbing and jumping and all this stuff that really isn't Zelda. So my thinking is, okay, if they're taking Zelda in this direction, what they should do is take it all the way. So what I want, for like a new Zelda game, spin-off game, whatever, I want Yacht Club Games, the people who made Shovel Knight, to make a game like Zelda 2. Right? It doesn't have to be a sequel or a remake or whatever, but just a game like Zelda 2. Because that game has jumping, it has all this like action RPG stuff. I mean, it's like if they're throwing away some of the old conventions of Zelda anyway, let's go all the way to one of the most sort of obscure, kind of weirdest Zelda games ever, which is Zelda 2. Side-scrolling game, make it more puzzle solving, more dungeon oriented, more action RPG. I mean, I am an unabashed fan of Symphony of the Night and Metroidvania games. So take Zelda 2, put it in Ganon's castle, and Link has to kind of travel through and save Zelda, and it's kind of that, Metroid style game. To me, that would be the greatest games of all time ever, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, if I could have any third-party studio, it would be Yacht Club Games, because here's the thing, big main studios, like your Capcoms and certainly your Konamis and Square Enixes and all those guys, I don't really trust them to make games, especially not, sort of licensed spin-off games of anything. I mean, really. So if I trust anyone, it would be an indie studio, because they're people who do games and they make games because they love it, for the most part, right? So take Yacht Club Games, give them a 2D side-scrolling Zelda game like Zelda 2, and I know they would just hit it right out of the park. I know it would be fantastic. It doesn't have to be like NES style. They could upgrade it to SNES or kind of make it more fancy or kind of 2.5D, whatever. I'm not really concerned about that. But they have the drive, they have the passion to make old school, really great games. I know if they made Zelda, it would be fantastic.
My particular views on what third-party company that I would endorse, what company I would support to help make the Legend of Zelda series. Now, this is a great question, and I've thought about it for quite some time, but after Jesse messaged me and asked me to be on this video, there's two specific companies that come to mind. The first one would be Team Ninja. Now, Team Ninja's already kind of made a Zelda game if you include Hyrule Warriors. I don't fully include that, but I really like the way Team Ninja does their cutscenes. I like the way they do their character models. I love the animation that they do and their graphics. The way the characters move, the way the environments are. I love the work that Team Ninja does in those regards. As far as storyline is concerned, I would pretty much push that towards the second company that I was going to refer to, which is Bethesda Softworks. I love Bethesda. Now, once again, they are not very good, as we know, through the Fallout series with the physics engine, with animation. They have pretty jagged games. Some of their games they don't have the best animations involved in them. That's where I believe Team Ninja could pick up the slack, and vice versa. Bethesda does very, very well with story. Bethesda does very, very well putting little intricacies into the game worlds themselves for you to find little nooks and crannies, little hidden stories, little bits and tidbits of information scattered throughout the world that lure you in, that make you want to go and explore this world. The details that they bring to their environments are so breathtaking sometimes that something that appears not even to be interesting will end up taking hours of your time away from your gameplay session just because you got distracted by a tiny little detail off in the distance. So that sums it up real quick for me, you guys. This is Truth Seeker 182. But you can just call me your friendly neighborhood lion. And those would be the two companies that I would personally endorse and that I would support to help make a Legend of Zelda game. Now, there are many other companies who I believe would do a great job helping along with the series. Visceral Games is another company that comes to mind, but maybe that's for a different video. These are just the two main ones that came to mind at this particular moment in time. I hope everyone's having a good day. I'm excited for Breath of the Wild. I can't wait for more information, but not really, because I'm trying to keep myself on the down low on the information because I've already seen too much of the gameplay. For me, the 3-minute trailer was enough. I don't need any more information about the game until the game comes out. So here's hoping to Nintendo making, one of the greatest games of all time. All right, take care, everybody. Bye.
That's another good question. I have two choices, and one of them is going to be kind of controversial, but okay, I'll go with a controversial choice first. Telltale Games. Like the same guys who make like the Walking Dead seasons, the Wolf Among Us, and recently did a Batman Telltale series. They're phenomenal when it comes to storytelling and gaming. And Zelda has always been a series. Like, of course, there is a story. I think Skyward Sword is probably the most story-driven Zelda game that comes to mind. But I really would like to see a Zelda game that really flushes out the lore in like different ways that are purely towards, like, let's say, story-focused sort of thing. So that would be interesting to see a Telltale version of Zelda. The other one would be Bethesda, actually. Either that or I forgot the name. Xenoblade Chronicles was the developer that made that game. I forgot, but whoever developed that game, those two companies are really good in terms of making.
Yeah, that would be Monolith Soft.
That's the
Monolith.
one. Yes,
Yeah.
Monolith Soft. Yeah, those two developers.
I believe that Hello Games, the creators of No Man's Sky, should at the very least have some influence on a future Zelda game. The talent and the size that is in No Man's Sky is amazing. Having that kind of talent be implemented in a Zelda title would make me lose my sanity. Not like I've been trying to keep my sanity lately. The true point of a Zelda game, in my opinion, is to explore. See all the big and little things that the developers put in the game. I believe that a Zelda game in the style of No Man's Sky would truly capture the essence of what an adventure game really means.
Okay, Square Enix. And reason? Chrono Trigger.
That's a very good pick. I like that, Square Enix.
If you're a fan of interviews like this or my other discussion and theory videos, please consider becoming a Patreon at patreon.com/GameOverJesse, where you can help me continue making these videos and get all kinds of awesome stuff at the same time, like co-hosting one of these interviews or joining me on a discussion or theory, suggesting topics for theories, discussions, and interviews, suggesting who to have on as guests, and much more.